You know, the health of our vision, what you're using right now, depends on something we can't even see. It's this constant microscopic river of blood flowing through the back of our eyes. This little network is the absolute lifeline for our retina and optic nerve. But what happens if that lifeline gets disrupted?
I mean, the challenge here is just immense. These blood vessels are unbelievably small, they're dynamic, so how can we possibly measure the life-giving currents inside them without some kind of invasive procedure? Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes from a really clever bit of physics that you've probably experienced firsthand.
Understanding this circulation is absolutely critical. Any disruption, any little slowdown in these tiny vessels can lead to some really serious, irreversible vision loss. And that's exactly why a technology called Doppler Flowmetry is so revolutionary. It gives doctors a way to finally see and measure these hidden currents.
So, how does it all work? Well, it all starts with a principle that, like I said, you probably noticed without even realizing it. It's called the Doppler effect, and honestly, it's the key to this entire technology. Let's make this super simple. Just imagine an ambulance speeding past you. You hear that high-pitched nee, ow, as it comes towards you, right? And then the second it passes, the pitch drops. The siren sound itself isn't actually changing. What's changing is the frequency of the sound waves hitting your ear, all because the source is moving.
Well, that exact same principle applies to light. Instead of a change in sound pitch, we get this teeny tiny change in the frequency, or you can think of it as the color of light. So when you shine a laser on moving particles, like, say, red blood cells flowing through a vessel, the light that bounces back has its frequency shifted. And that tiny little shift, it holds all the information we need.
So, here's the crucial point. How do we apply that principle of shifting waves to the tiny blood vessels inside the eye? How does this simple change in light frequency translate into a detailed map of blood circulation? The process itself is really elegant. A special monochromatic laser, which is just a fancy way of saying a very stable single-color light, is aimed into the eye. As this light hits the red blood cells that are just rushing through the vessels, it scatters. But because those cells are moving, the light that reflects back has a slightly different frequency. This change, this Doppler shift, is measured with incredible precision and then analyzed to calculate the dynamics of the blood flow. What's so brilliant about this is that it gives us more than just one number. The tech provides three key pieces of information. First, you've got velocity. How fast are the cells moving? Second, volume. How many cells are moving through that specific area? And then, by combining those two, we get the most important metric of all, the overall blood flow. This gives us a really comprehensive picture of the eye's circulation. And here's maybe the biggest advantage of all. This entire measurement is done without injecting any contrast dyes, without any invasive procedures whatsoever. It's safe, it's quick, and it can be repeated over and over again to monitor a patient's condition, which, as you can imagine, is a massive benefit in a clinical setting. Okay, so let's talk about how this is applied in the real world. Measuring this microcirculation isn't just some academic exercise. It's an incredibly powerful tool that doctors are using right now to manage some of the most serious, sight-threatening eye diseases out there.
Take glaucoma, for instance. With glaucoma, the optic nerve gets progressively damaged, and that leads to irreversible vision loss. For decades, the main focus of treatment was just on high eye pressure. But we now know that vascular factors, problems with blood supply, play an absolutely crucial role. This technology is helping shift the entire way we think about treating it.
And this is where Doppler Flowmetry just shines. Instead of only managing eye pressure, doctors can now directly look at the vascular health of the optic nerve. They can actually see if nerve fibers are being starved of oxygen because of poor circulation. This gives them a direct link between blood flow and how the disease is progressing for each individual patient. It's opening up doors for completely new ways to treat it.
And it's not just glaucoma. This technology is invaluable for other conditions that are all about blood supply problems, like diabetic retinopathy or retinal vascular occlusions, which are basically blockages in the eye's tiny vessels. In all of these cases, Doppler Flowmetry gives doctors a direct window into how the disease is impacting that delicate vascular network in the retina.
Okay, so we've taken quite a journey here, from a basic principle of physics all the way to its application in saving people's sight in a clinic. So let's just quickly recap the key takeaways.
All right, let's boil it down. At the very core, you have the Doppler effect. Things that move change wave frequency. Simple enough? Then we see how laser Doppler Flowmetry cleverly uses this with light to peek inside the eye's blood vessels without touching a thing. It doesn't just measure speed, it measures velocity, volume, and the total flow, giving you the whole picture. And finally, all this data is absolutely vital for managing diseases like glaucoma, where blood flow is a critical piece of the puzzle.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
This technology took a fundamental principle of physics and turned it into a tool that can literally save sight by revealing what was once invisible. So it just begs the question, as our imaging tools get even more sophisticated, what other hidden biological processes, the ones that are essential for our health, will we finally be able to see and understand tomorrow?